Nas just dropped a new album, Nasir, a few months after his ex-wife Kelly came out with her story. She accused him of allegedly abusing her whilst they were together. But if we're going to be honest, she spoke on how they were both violent towards each other.
Did he hit me? Mm-hmm. Did I hit him back? Mm-hmm.
Was it mutual combat, or was it you hitting him back because he hit you, or what?
It was because he would black out. He would drink too much. He drank way too much. He drank way too much. He will never admit it. But he drank too much. And there are times when we would party and I would drink with him, but then he would keep drinking.
Because of this, I've read numerous articles and tweets from people who say they can't listen to Nas anymore as their loyalty lies with Kellis, and listening to him reminds them that he might be an abuser. I mean, looking at it in that way does make some kind of sense. It is very understandable that people won't want to be associated with an art or artist they believe have done something immoral or hurtful. But does that mean that people who still listen to the artist who may have done something immoral supports their actions? I highly doubt that. The debate on if one can separate the art from the artist has been on for quite some time. And the answer is yes, no. I mean, I guess it's subjective. But for me, a few things definitely come into play when making that decision.
A prime example would be R. Kelly. I mean, R. Kelly has been accused of numerous sexual assault crimes against the teenagers, but it seems like it doesn't stop his records from selling. We even know that recently his ex-wife came on a talk show again to talk about how he abused her whilst they were in their marriage.
It was a questionnaire. There were 17 questions, and they asked you, how's your abuser ever done? And of the 17, Robert had done 15 to me. Oh my God.
That Spotify decided to take his album off their playlist. Streams skyrocketed. People began to actively search for his music and listen to it. People will talk about how we're definitely helping him stay afloat, because the more we stream his music, the more money he gets in his pocket. The more money he gets, the easier it is for him to actually run away from the law. But does it mean that because of this artist is a shitty person, people should not listen to good music? Okay, people would say, fine, you're just going online and listening to his music. That might be slightly harmless. But what about people who actually pay for concert tickets? I think it's a different ballgame, let's be completely honest. But I still can't judge them because I don't like concerts. Maybe that's why I haven't bought his concert ticket. My idea of how we deal with the issue of separating the art from the artist is a bit complicated, because I understand that people would say, Lolo, you're one that's always advocating for justice. I don't believe in boycotting. I understand that if the justice system has refused or have failed to act accordingly, we the citizens have to take it upon ourselves to, make sure that justice is served and the person pays for their action. But I believe boycotting is just another form of jungle justice. And we all know the problems that arise when we talk about things like jungle justice. Let's look at another artist, Vybz Kartel. Vybz Kartel is currently in jail for murder, but it doesn't stop us from consuming his music. Damn, in fact, we even crave more. We cannot wait for when he drops a new jam. Why is there a difference between the way we treat him and other artists that we deem immoral? Does that mean that maybe sexual assault or domestic abuse in recent times carries more weight than murder? I think people respond differently. So if it's a crime that is most relatable to them, sexual assault or domestic abuse is something a lot of women kind of relate to. So it might be why it seems very, very emotional, very, very delicate when you talk about these issues with them. But when we talk about murder, maybe not so much, because it seems like a general crime per se. But one thing I would definitely say is that society, we have a certain perception of artists and we judge them based off that perception. So someone like Vybz Kartel that we look at like as a gangster, someone who, when you listen to him, he brings out the ratchet in you. So when he commits murder, it doesn't seem so far-fetched from the perception that you've built of him. I'm going could even go as far as saying that this even solidifies his gangster, street cred. Because of this, there isn't much of a moral dilemma. I see that we have objectified not just the art, but the artist as well. And when we do that, it dehumanizes the artist because we refuse to see them as an individual, but more of like a reflection of their art. I think sometimes that's why we hear things like, I cannot wait for my favorite R&B artist to have heartbreak so we can get a fire album. I mean, it seems okay, it seems cool when you read it, but the reality is we don't really care about what's happening in your real life. We don't care if you're hurt. All you need to do is, can you give us something? Because you as an object, as an artist, is there to actually feed our desire. So if we see Vybz Kartel's crime as something okay, normal, nothing so morally unjust, it makes complete sense when people are unable to accept Cosby. Cosby was someone that took up a father figure role on TV. He wrote children's book. He was more of like a role model for young boys in the community. So when people come out and hear about the sexual assault crimes, it blows their mind. And two things definitely happen with cognitive dissonance like this. There are two different sets of people. We have a set of people who would completely refuse to acknowledge that this man could actually be an abuser because they cannot associate this abuser with the person they've grown up watching and looking up to. And we have another set of people who would not watch anything that he's done because they cannot disassociate the abuse from the act, from the character that he's playing. So let me even just use a simple example that all Nigerians kind of know. Patience Ozoko. Patience Ozoko is known for her evil stepmother kind of character. If someone comes online one day and speaks about how this woman has been an evil person in real life, we might not bat an eyelid. Let me tell you what would happen. The ratings on her movies would double. The views would double. Why? Because people would go watch it and they're watching and they're saying, I talk and say this woman and so she be for real life. She won't be castigated because the perception we've had of her makes it easier, like a cushion for us to accept the news about her being an evil stepmother. I believe that's one of the reasons why it was very easy for me to accept the Nas Kelly situation, because in my mind I've already assumed that a lot of toxicity happens back there. Someone like Kevin Spacey that was accused of sexual assault, it broke my heart. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you guys. Like, my heart was completely broken because I adore him as an artist, phenomenal acting skills, and I love House of Cards. He's no longer in House of Cards, and if between you and I might not be watching House of Cards anymore. Does that mean that I'm more loyal to Kevin Spacey even when I have heard about his sexual assault? I'm gonna be honest and say I have a certain bias towards this artist. Having read the ordeal that transpired between him and the accused, that's the man that said he abused him, I realized that a lot of the sexual assault that happened between those two happened in the gray areas. This does not mean that it invalidates the experience and the pain that the accused went through. No. But what this does for me is that, because I've been open about my sexual assault, a few of them, and I've spoken about how many of them happened in the gray areas, especially the one that happened during my teenage relationships. And I realized that in my teenage relationship, a lot of things happened because my then boyfriend was following a certain sexual script, and I too was following a certain sexual script that I believed I had to succumb to, and it led to a lot of abuse and clash. And because I was able to forgive and realize that sometimes both of us are both victims, in as much as I believe he might have abused me, but he's also a victim of a system that didn't teach him anything about consent and whatnot, it makes it easier for me to forgive. And choosing my words carefully, and because I can forgive or see things from a different perception or different light, does not mean that other people should and will do the same. And when the organization decided to fire him from the show, take him off from the show, I didn't object because I believe every action has a consequence. So even if I have forgiven or whatever it is you did was 20, 35 years ago, there are consequences for that action now. So the organization had the moral right to decide to take him out of the show if they believe that his actions was not in line with their code of conduct. And the bottom line is, as individuals, we should have the right to decide if we want to watch him or not. I shouldn't be castigated or ostracized because I still want to watch House of Cards in the episodes in which he was there, or I'm still rooting for him to get movies because I really enjoy his acting. The same way no one should be ostracized because they choose not to watch him anymore. Because I can understand if people refuse to watch. Maybe what he did to that young boy reminds them of something that actually happened to them. So it's like a trigger. So watching him reminds them of the abuse that they went through. And that's not something they want to go through again. So it's different perceptions and different realities and different experiences, everything coming in together. And we need to understand that the people don't always see things in our own way. But let's move on to another artist. Eminem. I love Eminem. To be honest, I really enjoy Eminem's music, but I have a love-hate relationship with him because sometimes his lyrics, just listen to this. I mean, it's pretty violent, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone come out kind of castigate him and say your lyrics isn't good and all that, because people understand. That's the word I'm trying to get. People understand that he's just using his art to express the anger and the hurt that he went through. It's not like he's gonna come out in real life and burn the person. But I ask again, if we are able to critically understand that we can separate the art from the artist when it comes to someone like Eminem, why can't we do it for other artists as well? So these are the different layers I believe that comes into play when we're talking about separating the art from the artist. It's just the same as men who say, I don't like gays, I don't like homosexuals, I'm homophobic, etc. But let me tell you, they cannot stop listening to Sam Smith. When you tell them that Sam Smith is gay, they go through this cognitive dissonance where they have to kind of say, I don't say, wait to concern me. She been like music while they listen to. So I think sometimes, even when you really like an art, when you really, really enjoy an art, I think it definitely makes it easier for us to separate the artist from the art. My 2 cents is this, is that I believe our inability to separate the artist from the art gives the artist more power. Whilst in reality, the art should be more powerful than the artist. The artist shouldn't have that much power. Because when you give the art too much baggage that comes with the artist, it reduces the beauty of the art. And if in reality right now, so many of our favorites are being accused of things that are so horrific, I would advise that you separate the art from the artist so you can fully enjoy this art. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's vlog. Tell me what you think about this. Can you separate the art from the artist? I know I started a Twitter conversation about this as well. I'm going to add the link right in the comments as well for you guys to go check out the thread. So many opinions that are so mind-blowing about this conversation. Some say you can, some say you can't, but I want to know what you think and why you think so. Is it something you've also had to struggle with? Do you love R. Kelly, but oh my god, you feel so bad when you're streaming his music? Let me know what you have to say about this conversation. Thank you guys again so much for watching this week's vlog. My name is Lolo Cynthia and I'll see you next week. Subscribe.